Hello there. I thought I'd watch this clip, then record my reaction to it at the same time. So,
America is in uncharted territory. Joe Biden has won, but the president believes this.
They're trying to steal an election. They're trying to rig an election, and we can't let that happen.
Joe Biden has
what a load of crap. Biden has lost massively. When did the world give the power to these idiot companies, TV companies, the option to make a choice, to make the decision on who won and who didn't? That's like going to the races and then the people who are betting on the horses deciding who won, regardless of what horse ran. Let's carry on.
won, but this is the Secretary of State.
There will be a smooth transition to a second Trump administration.
The president
Guess what? After that, he had a bit of a smirk. Why is he saying that? Because he knows Trump has won. And all these idiots on TV are exposing themselves, making themselves out to exactly what they are, total and utter liars. Doesn't matter which channel you're listening to, 99% of them are feeding you the biggest load of crap you've ever heard.
has not conceded, is not helping the transition of power. So is American democracy in crisis? Well, there's no shortage of people making the case. The New Statesman says darkness has fallen on American democracy. An article in Foreign Affairs magazine argues the problems are long-term and that this president has severely damaged the norms of American democracy. And the president is nothing if not consistent.
So there you go. He's just exposed another couple of bullshit magazines and whatever they are telling you that the president should concede. If you were running a race, let's have a really simple race, 100 meters, and the race hasn't finished, would you just concede because you're an idiot? Of course you wouldn't. Nobody would. So until the final whistle is blown, and it could be a photo finish. So guess what? Then they have to go to the camera system and find out who won. So why the hell would he concede? Come on, grow up, people. If you looked at the Biden rallies, there was all of 20 people. Yeah, even the worst actors in the world could probably get 20 people in a group, and Trump's got thousands.
He alleged there was widespread voter fraud in 2016. There wasn't. He's saying the same thing this time, again without evidence. And
Oh, believe me, the evidence is coming. And if you're watching this, you might be a Biden supporter, you might be a liberal, lefty, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter. The point is, when this fraud gets exposed, you're really going to feel stupid. You best get a really big bag of tissues because you're going to be crying, or get a big bucket to puke up in. Because just because you hate Donald Trump is not a good enough reason to accept the fact that the Democrats cheated on a huge scale.
he's sharing videos like this, asking, is this what our country has come to? Those are mail-in ballots being collected in a normal and legal way. And the journalist
In a normal and legal way, that guy is collecting them in bin bags. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but believe me, they're making a lie look like the truth.
Judd Legum describes Donald Trump's action as a direct attack on the foundation of American democracy. But are those actions having an impact? Well, we know some Americans no longer trust the system, and their words echo the president.
There is questions about some of the irregularities. There's questions about the integrity of those results.
I think there's a tremendous amount of fraud based on what we've actually heard and what we've learned from some reputable sources.
Facebook has had to take down groups devoted to this, and we're seeing it on the streets too. Trust in US democracy is being eroded by the president and, crucially, by a slew of misinformation online. But
guess what? Facebook took down a slew of misinformation. Zuckerberg is in the pocket of the Democrats, or they're all in each other's pockets. Basically, he's just as corrupt as the rest of them. Facebook needs taking down a serious peg or two. And guess what? Competition is coming on a massive scale.
But for all that, the system itself is working. Here's the New York Times telling us election officials nationwide find no fraud.
See, all these people are in each other's pockets. Actually, go and watch the film The Big Short and realize how corrupt the system is and how the financial crash was all hidden and buried by big bankers and even the people who gave AAA ratings, the ratings agencies. So you're telling me that election officials wouldn't do the same thing? Oh, believe me, they would.
And that's in an election with record turnout in a pandemic. Then there's the media organisations which project the result. All of them, including Fox News, say Biden has won. And the vote counting has continued, despite...
You know why they're saying that Biden won? Because they are desperate. Because if once Trump, well, forget if Trump wins, when Trump comes out and exposes them, believe me, you'll see the end of CNN, the end of all these, including Fox News. They're finished because guess what? They're lying on a massive scale. Just because they lied to you and told you that Trump didn't win and Biden did, doesn't make Biden the winner. There's no such thing as president elect.
the president's interventions. But just because the president says something doesn't make it so, and the system shows every sign of understanding that. There are, though, pressures within the system, and some say the way America chooses its president makes a crisis likely. The Electoral College system rewards wins in individual states. This means that while Biden leads Trump by over 5 million votes,
does he heck lead Trump with that many votes? Just because you see this figure doesn't mean anything. What if this is a lie? What if it's the other way around? What if you're being misled? You know, we talk about this. There's a space between your ears. It's called a brain. Use it. Do some research. Don't base it on the fact that you hate Trump. Base it on the fact that you want to know the truth and dig deep. And you might find that the system they've used called Dominion, the software, was flipping votes away from Trump and into Biden. And you think, well, why would they do that? Well, firstly, have you ever heard of an election where voting suddenly stops and pauses? Counting suddenly stops and pauses and then carries on afterwards. Well, what's the reason for that? They all decided to have a lunch break or get a Big Mac in the middle of their counting. That's rubbish. They counted the votes, realized that Trump was winning on a massive scale, and they needed to cheat. And they did.
his victory rests on relatively narrow wins in a small number of states. They give him the Electoral College majority he needs. And the MSNBC host Chris Hayes argues that's a risk, tweeting, "The Electoral College is just a disaster waiting to happen. Under a polarized country, it will keep stress testing the system until it actually breaks. Not to mention, you can lose the popular vote and become president, as Donald Trump did. And for all these factors, that means American democracy is being scrutinized by a watching world. In a way,
Rubbish. What we're doing is you're actually, they're exposing themselves. The whole of media is exposing themselves. All these liars are exposing themselves. What are you going to do when you realize that Biden didn't win and Trump gets inaugurated? Who are you going to blame then? Your stupidity? Or are you going to blame these idiots on TV?
it always has been. Back in 1989, President Reagan spoke of the US as the shining city upon a hill, a beacon to the world. Now, some have never accepted that idea, but certainly America has long been vocal in its promotion of democracy. That becomes harder when the president and some Americans believe their democracy cannot be trusted. Whether that constitutes a crisis depends on whether those beliefs outlast the Trump presidency. History and 10 minutes on social media suggest they will.
What a load of rubbish. Just think, for months and months, if you actually bothered to take the time to look at any Trump rallies, what you would have realized is that Trump kept saying there's voter fraud. Do you think anybody who knows that the opposition is going to cheat is just going to sit back and do nothing? And then guess what he did? After he found out they cheated, he went off and played golf for a couple of days. Does that sound like somebody who's desperate? No, it doesn't to me. What he did was he actually let them cheat, but he made sure that he could get as much proof as possible. And guess what? Now the proof is going to come. So you forget the red wave. Look out for a huge amount of Democrats who are cheesed off. They'll be crying. They'll be annoyed. And who are they going to be annoyed at? The media for lying to them. Just leave this one last thought. What if the media lies to you about virtually everything by taking bits of the truth and twisting it? How do you know what the truth actually is? Have you ever thought about that? So think about it. Don't let the fact that you hate Donald Trump stop you from actually seeing what the real truth is. Just put your hate to one side for a short period and just watch a couple of his videos. Yes, he can be annoying. Yes, he says all sorts of things that a normal politician wouldn't say. But the question is, have a look at his track record. Has he done everything he said he would? Yes. And believe me, he's no racist. Anyway, I've had my rant. If you don't like it, tough.